it's Lee from ColouringQueen.net, and today I've got the latest colouring book by Polish illustrator and colourist Krystyna Nowak. I'm not sure if I've pronounced her name correctly, so don't hold me to that correct pronunciation. Now, this is Krystyna's latest. She's previously given us Slavic Beauties, which was absolutely stunning, and then the Slavic Beauties Cut and Colour, which was the 3D imagery, and I've got a video of that and I'll link to it below this if you want to check that one out. She's also brought us a Face Carousel, another colouring book, and she has her own shop of digital colouring pages that you can purchase if you don't want to buy a whole book. Now this one's hardcover, and it's a really thick, sturdy cover. Now the others haven't been hardcover, so I was really surprised when I opened it up and realised that this one was hardcover. And so there it is up against Joanna Basford, so you can see how big it is and how thick in comparison. Now I will put plastic wrap on mine, only because I don't want it to get dirty, but the cover is like a laminate texture, so I believe it's smudge proof, but I couldn't find any detail to confirm that, but it doesn't appear to be smudging when I put my hand on it. So we've got protective pages in there at the front. This has been signed by the artist, and look at the lovely little detail on there. Now the paper that's used in this book is 150 grams, and it's the same paper, I believe, as Slavic Beauties. Now I do just want to test out my Prismacolor and polys on this before we dive in, so we'll just do one on each, I think. And I'm standing up, so I'm quite away from the actual page here, so I hope I get it all in the right spot. It's going on super smoothly, and the only problem for me is I am so far away from this page. I'm going to have to stretch my arms out. The paper is really retaining the pigment. Just added another random colour there, and that's really going on smoothly. This is going to be really nice to work on. So that was our Prisma, and we've got the poly here. And again, I'm not usually 3 feet from the page when I colour. Gosh, that's really going on smoothly. You're getting so much pigment out just on that first light little layer. So I do prefer my Prismas to the polys, but I think that's personal preference because they both go on easy as. It's just that I love my Prismas probably more than my polys. So the paper is super smooth, it's easy to work on. It's got a light texture which makes it ideal for pencils, and it's 150 GSM. So these illustrations that Krystyna's based the Queens of Poland book on, she did a lot of research and she was inspired by a lot of pictures, but they're not factually correct, so you can't use it as a reference book. It's just a colouring book, you know, inspired by the Queens of Poland. So we've got 45 line art pictures and 5 grayscale pictures, and they've all been named. And the wonderful thing is that Krystyna puts the text in Polish and in English as well. So here's one of our gorgeous line arts, and it's beautifully centred on the page, lots of lovely soft grayscale there. So even though it's line art, it's still lovely and textured. And I would really call this grayscale as well. rather than line art. I mean, really, only the hand is really line art. Everything else has got lots of beautiful texture and softness to it. Look at that image, isn't it gorgeous? And the illustrations are all on single sides. Now I've already picked out a picture to colour later on in the week with you, and I'll show it as we get closer. So look at the detail on this. And she doesn't go right to the bottom of the page, she leaves a little space so that your pencils aren't falling off the page. Now at the moment the binding is still a little stiff, so it might need a little bit of loosening up. Now this is the picture that I thought that I would colour in. We'll see how we go. And it's Maria, a Ruth and Ian princess who married a Polish king. And she passed away at the age of 77, which apparently was a pretty long time. So as I said, these aren't visually correct. They're just inspired by these particular queens. Krystyna did a lot of research on these, and you know, I guess this is what her artist hand drew when she was thinking about these particular queens. So I've got the gorgeous butterflies over here. We've got a lot of different hairstyles and embellishments and lots of beautiful beads. She's got a very aristocratic nose on there. So lots of gorgeous jewels. And look at this little kitty, it's virtually smiling. And its little paws. And you can just see that being done in some sheer look. It's so gorgeous and soft. And Krystyna, as well as leaving that little white space down the bottom, she also leaves a little white space here in the gutter so that you don't have to try and struggle and get your pencil into those tricky little corners. So we've got side profiles, we've got full-on front profiles, and Krystyna does faces so well. It's her real trait, I think. And look at the little caterpillar walking up her hand. Just gorgeous. And then we've got Elizabeth of Hungary. And she's got a little secret. This is Helena. She's got a beautiful little ring there. So lots of opportunities to do your gemstones and do metalworks. And even though these are the line art drawings, they're still very textured. Here we've got, you know, pure line art for the shoes and the hand, but everything else is very softly textured. And this is Anne of Bohemia. Look at those two gorgeous little birds. Do you know, I don't know, I could be wrong, but I don't think I've ever coloured a bird because I'm not sure how. I'll have to challenge myself to do that. So this one, apparently she was the wife of Conrad, and he wasn't very popular. He was violent and cunning and often involved in treason. And she must have had a similar nature because their marriage was a successful one. It's funny. Look at her beautiful long hair. Isn't it gorgeous? So we've got lots of different styles of faces, headgear, and other little elements like flowers or jewels. These beautiful hydrangeas. It's gorgeous illustrations. This one's got a lovely little border around it. There's these gorgeous candles in the background. And look at this one. Isn't she beautiful? I didn't realise that there were actually so many queens of Poland in the 10th to 19th century. I don't really associate Poland with royalty, so I need to read up all the text on this and educate myself a bit more. And this is that cover art, isn't it gorgeous? Another beautiful picture. They're always very well centered on the page. Krystyna really understands balance on a page. The golden ratio of design, where things are symmetrical so that they're not off-putting to your eye. We've got the beautiful sculpted detail there and all the background shadows. Now I'm looking at this one, I feel like I want to colour that one. And this is Elizabeth of Bosnia. She was strangled in front of her daughter and her body was hanged from the city walls. It's a bit gruesome to start the day with. And this one was later declared a saint. I love reading the text on books. You really learn so much about different countries that you might not have been to or might not know about. So I'm probably going to spend quite a bit of time reading all of this. Look at this, she's got the lip wrinkles there, and you can quite clearly see because of the lip wrinkles and the eyelids drooping and whatnot that she is a more mature lady. I love all this little gossip, rumours regarding her infidelity. I love the tidbits of gossip. I've got that gorgeous dragonfly. And this is Elizabeth of Austria. I love all this floral detail in the background. And then we have Barbara. Now this is a smaller picture with not as much detail as some of the others, so good if you don't have a lot of time. Look at these lovely lilies. So I've got some beads down there to colour in. And I could imagine that in metal, but might be wrong. Gee, she's pretty, isn't she? Now we've got another Elizabeth and more gossip. Her favourite delicacy was parmesan, and so she's holding a giant wheel of parmesan cheese. I love cheese. Maybe I was a Polish princess. Another Barbara. And look at this cute little puppy dog. Isn't that gorgeous? And we've got line art in the back, and everything else is really lovely and soft. And this one has got the frame around it and another border, which is Anna, who dedicated her life to arts. Well, this one died at only 25. That's so young. Look at her beautiful curls. But the mortality rates were so high in the earlier centuries. Living until you were 20 or 30 would have been pretty good. And this lady, Constance, was also involved in politics. So it's nice to see so many women involved in these things. That's why I love looking at history books. And so Cecilia died in childbirth. Look at her beautiful horse. And this one has more of a pencil look to it rather than a crisp line art. And we've got this in the background, the leaves, and this in the foreground to give it that bit of depth. More beautiful flowers and jewels. It's hard not to get all caught up looking at their beautiful hair and flowers when you're looking through the book. But this paper is just lovely. Now I'm sure I only have just received the book, so I'm sure once I press down on it a few more times, that spine is going to loosen up and it's going to be so much easier to work with. But hardbacks, the spine is always nice and stiff when you first get them. I think these are little sprigs of lavender. I've got that side profile that sort of looks a little like a cameo. And then we've got Catherine, who was depressed. I think we've all been there at some stage. And this is really soft and delicate, this line art. And the feathers on her hair. And I think she's got a lovely chrysanthemum in her hand, or a peony. And look at her hair. Imagine having to do your hair like that every day. It'd take ages. And here we have the grayscale ones. So we've seen these pictures earlier, and now here they are in a deeper grayscale. So I would just call these dark grayscale, and the other ones that are called line art, I would just call them a soft grayscale, but each to their own. I mean, there were elements in the last one that were pure line art, but a lot of the pictures had a lot of soft grayscale in them. Look at this cat. I can really just imagine colouring him now that I can see him in the grayscale, because it really shows off all those shadows. And this, you can really imagine it with the little Bacot background. All the details are just coming to life because you see everything with the shadows on it. It's really gorgeous. Look at all the folds there. So much easier to see on the grayscale, on the darker. And this one with that beautiful blurred background. Just now that I'm looking at it again, I feel like I should change my mind on which picture I'm going to colour in. But that's alright. So there we have it, and these are Krystyna's earlier books in case you want to check those out. I do have this one, and I put together a little 3D picture frame of it, and I'll link to that below the video. Got protective page at the back, and then that gorgeous hardcover. And there we have it, Queens of Poland. So I'll be back later on in the week and we'll start on one of those pictures. The links to buy it are below the video, and until next time, happy colouring.